Happy Sunday. The F Your Feelings crowd has their feelings hurt really badly because they want everybody to feel the way they want them to feel. They want to dictate the way everybody has to have a meltdown all at the same time. And while I was saddened and horrified to see public shooting of Charlie Kirk, I can certainly understand why people that are Black that have heard the overtly racist things that this man has said wouldn't feel a whole lot of empathy for that. And so this is a free country and this is a free space where people get to feel how they like to feel. And so they are trying to blame the left because we're not feeling the way they want us to feel. And their feelings are hurt because they say that we call them fascists and use Nazi references, which we do because that's what they act like. And here's an example of Nazi-like behavior casually on a Fox News weekend morning program. Play the clip.
They have given billions of dollars to mental health and the homeless population. A lot of them don't want to take the programs. A lot of them don't want to get the help that is necessary. You can't give them a choice. Either you take the resources that we're going to give you or you decide that you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill them.
Yeah, Brian, why did it have to get to this point?
Right.
Okay. Brian Kilmeade just says involuntary lethal injection. He's talking about euthanizing a homeless population, and the two co-hosts just go along with it. Like, yeah, like, why haven't we done that yet? And then their feelings are hurt that we call them fascists or that we use Nazi references. And it's important to remember that Hitler didn't just go after the Jews. He went after political enemies that he called vermin. He went after homosexuals. He went after homeless people. He went after mentally ill people. It didn't just stop. The biggest concentration of it were the Jews, but it expanded far beyond that, the hate. And this is just streamlined on Fox News. And then they act so shocked. And they're such snowflakes when we call them out for being and saying what they are. Here is a complete psycho, Stephen Miller, on Fox News on Friday night.
And we are going to do that under President Trump's leadership. I don't care how. It could be a RICO charge, a conspiracy charge, conspiracy against the United States, insurrection, but we are going to do what it takes to dismantle the organizations and the entities that are fomenting riots, that are doxing, that are trying to inspire terrorism, and that are committing acts of wanton violence. It has to stop. And my message is to all of the domestic terrorists in this country spreading this evil hate, you want us to live in fear? We will not live in fear, but you will live in exile, because the power of law enforcement under President Trump's leadership will be used to find you, will be used to take away your money, take away your power, and if you've broken the law, to take away your freedom, Sean.
I mean, you can't even respond to this. It is so inherently insane and anti-democratic and full tilt dictator, very reminiscent of Nazism. That's just simply what it is. And he's talking about what they're going to do is they're trying to go after George Soros. And they believe that when people care about other people, when people have empathy, when people stand up for civil liberties, that is domestic terrorism. And so they think that George Soros is funding everybody speaking freely about progress in the United States of America. These people are regressive. This is psychotic. And here's Stephen Miller now talking about higher education, which if you have Nazi-like ambitions, higher education is a huge problem for you because it is open-mindedness. It is critical thinking. And here's what he has to say about that.
Our universities, in many cases, have become incubators for extremism. They become the equivalent of madrasas for jihadism.
That is insane. That is completely insane. It is unbelievable to me that Matthew Dowd was fired from MSNBC. He didn't say anything even close to this deranged insanity. And he apologized for it and he's fired. And Fox News continues to go full tilt as the propaganda arm for this Trump regime. And Stephen Miller absolutely cares about doing these things. He has a vision for these things. Kanks, Trump, who, I call Kanks, short for Kankles, he is too busy meeting with his architects while Putin is advancing drones into NATO airspace. He is now not cooperating with NATO countries. He's basically, in essence, put out this lie social tweet trying to hold them hostage that they had to go with our plan with Chinese tariffs before he would honor our agreement and commitment with NATO. These are not serious people. Stephen Miller is clearly deranged. He wants to dismantle democracy. Kanks wants to sit around and meet with architects on his ballroom, and he wants to suck up to dictators. This is a crazy, insane problem. So to all of the people at home that watch this and you think, God, I want my kids to go to college, or maybe you went to college, MAGA doesn't want you to. They want to dismantle all of it, all of it. Everything that we know, our life as we know it, they want to dismantle. And they have this massive petri dish of indoctrination and radicalization over at Fox News. These journalists haven't apologized. Nobody's come on and said, Stephen Miller, you're not invited back on anymore. This is insanity. Nobody questions him. He just gets to say all of this stuff with impunity. Kilmeade, he's not going to get fired. But over at MSNBC, that guy's fired immediately. And this shows you how we're playing two different games. On the left, we try to be decent, and we have integrity politics, and they have this full-blown, fuck you, we're going to dismantle it all form of politics. And this is why we're losing at every turn. Moving along, Mehdi Hasan has been doing really good work on Twitter, and their big thing is right now, we're in danger because the leftists and the liberals are calling us fascists and Nazis. And I want to remind you that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. compared Kanks to Hitler, and so did J.D. Vance, the failed drag queen, Lil Smokey. He compared Kanks to Hitler. So, Kylie, let's put up Mehdi's tweet. So Don Jr. was on TV ranting and raving. Nobody can call us fascists, blah, blah. He says, you can't call someone you disagree with a fascist, says Don Jr. And Mehdi Hasan then screenshots the following tweets from Don Jr. The fake news gets triggered whenever anyone dares to tell the truth about the fascist lawfare from Alvin Bragg and Joe Biden. Another tweet from Don Jr. I call the sons Dumb and Dumber. So this is from Dumb. We all know that the rhinos are secretly happy about the indictment, but the fascist left won't stop with Trump, blah, blah, blah. Another. Dumb says the Democrats will stop at nothing to push their political agenda. The party of Antifa has gone full fascist. This is truly disgusting. And the final one, Dumb says fascist Democrats like Cuomo are openly reverting to their party's historic position in support of outright segregation and discrimination in America. Sad. So shout out to Mehdi Hasan for calling out just the hypocrisy. And that's what the MAGA logic is. They persecute constantly. They are oppressors constantly. And then when they're called out on it, then they act like they're persecuted and they act like they've been oppressed. It is a classic snowflake victim mentality. And this is like trickle down snowflakeism from Trump, who is the perpetual victim. It's amazing to me that the biggest drama queen in the world is who all of these displaced white people have latched on to be the arbiter of their masculinity. All right, moving along, here's some things that Kanks has said that I want to remind everybody of. Mehdi Hasan finds this as well. This was a headline more than a year ago. Trump calls political enemies vermin, echoing dictators Hitler and Mussolini. On Veterans Day, the former president vowed to root out his liberal opponents, drawing backlash from historians who say his rhetoric is reminiscent of authoritarians. So that is a what people with educations, and that's why they want to dismantle universities. When you've studied this and you know that this is what Hitler and Mussolini called their political enemies, and then Kanks is saying this on the campaign trail, it is a very logical connection there to say he's acting very Hitler-esque because he is. And that's what the facts show. And here's one more. Okay, here is Elon Musk. And he's been out of the scene, but he continues. This guy has a really large social media platform. And all of he does is lie, propagandize. There's a huge bot farm on X, and he tries to control the narrative. And this is incredibly dangerous. Could you imagine if we on the left said this stuff all the time about them? Listen to Musk, and he's meddling in UK politics because Kank's fired him. And now I've heard that like Lutnick and some other people in the administration are saying that Doge was a failure, and they've completely thrown Musk under the bus. I mean, his Heartbreak Hotel, Boodle Baby City. So now he's over to the UK, wreaking havoc over there. And here he is.
And then you see how much violence there's on the left, with our friend Charlie Kirk getting murdered in cold blood this week, and people on the left celebrating it openly. The left is the party of murder.
Okay.
And celebrating.
Here's what I want to tell you. His party, when Kanks lost to Joe Biden, he incited an insurrection, and they wanted to kill Mike Pence. Some nut went into Nancy Pelosi's office and wanted to kill her. And this is the party that doesn't play by the rules. And then Kanks, after he lost, the insurrection was a failure. Everybody had to go home. All of those freaks had to pack their toys up after they beat up cops and took a shit in the Capitol. And then he packed his toys up and left the White House, and he didn't participate in the peaceful transfer of power. And so as it comes to this Charlie Kirk investigation, you have to realize that we're at this state in America. This is where we are right now. A man who tried to subvert democracy once, then he puts in all these party loyalists. One of them was a former podcaster named Kash Patel, who wears shirts when he podcasts that said cash money. And he is now in charge of the FBI. Because he is a loyalist. He's blindly obedient to Kanks. They are going to manipulate the information about this shooting, and we're never going to address the real problem. Unmitigated access to guns, isolation from people on the internet. The internet is now wild, wild west. And you have this post-pandemic loneliness where kids that were impacted by the pandemic, and they are finding themselves in these dark corners of the internet, growing up in these gun families that embrace gun culture. We're never going to get to have a real conversation about that, because that can affect everybody. And at the end of the day, as much as I disagree with everything that Charlie Kirk says, I mean, it really pains me, the stuff that he said and how he just wanted to step on the oppressed and make them feel weaker and make them feel pain. It's really sad that a 31-year-old man was shot in cold blood, and a 22-year-old kid, 22, did it. For what? For what? What is all this for? And we're not going to be able to have a serious meeting of the minds with serious people that want to address this problem to make society safer. And I want to remind you all that Vladimir Putin's goal with the United States of America was to plot us against each other. And while we are well into that, just a few days ago, the right wing, civil war, we're at war with the left, that's where we are. He is advancing. And ever since the bend over in Alaska with Kanks to Putin, he has escalated the war stuff. And then you have Benjamin Netanyahu bombing Qatar. You have the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, claiming that the verdict in Bolsonaro in Brazil was unjust. This is a 180-degree shift in American policy. And that's even before I get to the fact that Kanks is knee-deep into the Epstein files. And the court is completely bending over for him. And we all know Congress has abdicated all of their power in this 180-degree policy shift for these broken people. They're going to break the country and they're going to hurt the people that support this movement. And it's just devastating. And here's what they're doing. Musk, he's a free speech absolutist, right? And so here's what they're doing on Twitter now. Pop this up. A searchable database of more than 20,000 people celebrating Charlie Kirk's murder will soon be available. I think what they're doing here, you guys, is they're priming the public so that when Kanks dies, because I think that a lot of people will probably not be that upset about that. And they're already getting all of these databases in because it's going to be difficult on the cult to keep everything locked in together. And the party that's saying they are free speech absolutists are mad if somebody isn't crying because Charlie Kirk was shot. And from a personal standpoint, I'm a mother of 2 boys. All of that, the shooter, Charlie Kirk, I probably disagree with every single thing vehemently that they do. I want to live in a society where that stuff doesn't exist. And when we see that it happens, that our government comes together and we do an autopsy on it and we have bipartisan support of how can we fix this. But of course, that is a dipshit idea because now I live in the United States of America, which is abdicated to Putin, abdicated to Benjamin Netanyahu, and we're basically at war with one another and tearing this country down. All right, that's been a really uplifting Sunday for all of us here at IHIP News, and we'll see you all tomorrow.